later or?
Too much walking around.
Well, I just, yeah,
Yeah.
I just.
That was you have to light up on the wall.
Like your agenda.
I'll let you tell her.
Yep, yep. Yep, it is.
You can tell her that, you felt
Ah,
bad.
you made big copies for. Yeah, the packet's pretty small. Worries, you use that or should I just get it? You know. It's done? Well, until you get back.
Number 5.
Is that a new truck out in your place? Yeah,
What's that, Steve?
is that a new truck in front of your place?
Oh, because it took us forever to get all the damn permits and the. I was waiting for a camera, all the trucks have cameras in them. For some reason, that thing took an extra week to get here.
It's good looking.
They're all pretty when they're brand new.
Yeah.
Look at about a week from now.
Well, they're pretty, but all they are is, for a little while, you pay, huh? Before it starts paying you.
I'll tell you. Wait.
Man. Yeah, I know. Boy, I didn't really need it. Boy kept bugging me about my other one.
Well, I thought. Sure. Yeah, I've been drawing here.
Goes to the truck. Yeah, with zero interest, it's hard to beat some of those.
Hello?
Laura Ann, how are
Yeah,
you?
those dealers.
How's the knee?
Manufacturing warranty, he said.
Do you recommend it?
I don't know what your issue is with your.
You don't know what my issue is?
Sure.
My issue is I'm chicken. Ah,
Mine was.
That's what-
Inventory.
Jeff, Tony, Jeffrey, you want a water?
I think probably take a water, yes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Mary, you have one? I've got just enough. Fancy water? Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
That's where the night's out.
Since we're having snacks, you gotta have some water with it.
or a diet.
Oh, run, grab a gallon of that good now. And whose birthday's on Thursday?
Fine.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
That's why we got
Gotta
extra
sing.
sugar.
Gonna sing,
Huh?
gonna sing for me or anything?
No. You want me to?
Is that,
No,
is that the 16th? It
I
is,
don't
isn't
wanna
it?
ruin your birthday. That'd be terrible.
The day right after tax day. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I got a funny story about taxes.
Mine isn't funny.
You payment voucher. So I had that like 2 months before. Well, I'll wait till the last, the week before. Linda and I started looking for that and looking for that. Couldn't find it. I called Brad Shaw. I said, Brad, I'm gonna make another one. I can't find this. You must have thrown it away. So I go get a new one and I mail it, and the next day, it's sitting on the table. And I says, where did that come from? She said, it was on the fridge. You know where you hang it?
Yeah. You don't forget about it.
That's getting scary. When it's on the fridge and you don't see it,
Is Dave coming tonight or is he still?
he's gone.
Okay. Yeah, just hit.
He says he's doing better. Hey, that's
Just
lots
kidding.
better.
I know, is it helping your eyes, Steve?
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. If you can take a couple of them out, that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Do we have more water?
Hey, thank you, Ty. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
I couldn't find the water, Ty, where did you get it?
My fridge,
Oh, in your fridge. Oh, okay.
there's like 2 left, so.
Okay, good. There were like
Ooh.
2 on our.
You can carry her.
I don't-
Dave's gonna beat you, right?
There were 2 in our fridge in the break room. I didn't grab those 2.
Okay. And then we're out after that.
Gotta make a trip to Costco.
We're out of water already.
Yeah, Kirkland.
Case of it.
Never had it.
Their last shindig that. It lasted for a little while. We had an employee thing. Oh no, it was left over from the chamber luncheon.
How was that? I couldn't make that.
I missed it too. But it was. Probably okay, I guess.
Tierra Officer.
Yeah.
I have more V8 energies than I do water. Would anybody like one of those? Or a one rock star?
V8 Energy, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's non-carbonated.
We could use some energy,
I
but
guess it'll be two.
They make a lot of different kinds of drinks in there, don't they?
Can you make
Go
me-
to many markets.
Every color.
So good.
Can I have a shot of,
Brundle.
can I get a shot of adrenaline somehow?
Good to see you. Awesome.
Good to be seen.
You switched Jerry.
That's being.
Hey, Dave.
yeah, no.
How you been? Better now?
I'm
Yelled up?
You ready to race?
I'm ready. Let's have 100-yard.
Yeah, look at you go.
Saw you run down by the river.
I'll bet you beat me.
Doesn't take much.
Hey, in the flash, you're looking good.
That was a cardboard cutout on the Zoom meeting, by the way.
Yeah.
How's the knee?
But I'll have to bring
It was a hit.
It'll take up your whole, it'll take up your whole space.
There he is.
Yeah.
There's the,
Can everyone turn on your microphones?
there's the myth, the legend, the man.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, did I?
Before.
trying to look at it on my computer.
Yeah.
Already.
Go a little better.
Can you, yeah, so I think that's,
But give me a call anytime. I got you on priority.
thank you. I'm on your face.
Yeah, on my face. Yep, definitely. Goodness. How you doing, Jake?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Take up the water. Oh, you have your own water?
Yeah,
All set?
I've heard that Morgan water on tap is good.
So.
That's all I drink.
I have a story about that, you know, some water testing things on house.
Yeah.
I said 12 bottled water, and my son was talking about how Arrowhead's the best. I was like, you can't tell them this, and so I put tap water in with the whole mix, and then to narrow it down, and he picked our tap water as the,
It's better?
as the best. I was like,
That is awesome.
I have a board that I'm gonna put.
That's amazing.
Yep. You ready? Welcome, everybody, to our Wicked City Work Meeting. I believe it's April 14th and it's 2026. So Jake, we'll start out with you on the general plan update.
Yes, okay. In your packet is a map, I believe. Now I can pull it up. And last Monday, Ty, myself and Teresa met with the Red Rock neighborhood, which consisted of Mr. and Mrs. Boss and one other neighbor,
Cliff Sharp.
Cliff Sharp.
Clifford Sharp.
Clifford. And we really went over their concerns. Ty had a number of questions for them. And in summary, what it boiled down to is they feel that if their neighborhood was an LDR, low density residential, instead of an MDR, medium density residential, then they're less likely to get rezoned as a mixed residential overlay. That's kind of the number one concern. According to the MRO code, it all has to be as residential. It doesn't say preference of that. That being said, their concern is valid and continued. And what we are providing you with is essentially an option B, that the Red Rock Street and the land behind could be an LDR. And the area, the parcel in between the Red Rock Street and I don't know if that next neighborhood or area that would continue as MDR, because that's already zoned an R18, effectively a 10,000 square foot lot. So we would have a conflict between the general plan and zoning. And it would be essentially a down zone by doing that, and highly discouraged. So this option B represents that. I think it's a good compromise if the council feels that it is. The properties behind are rural residential, and so if they were to apply for a rezone, an R112 or greater would be something still of smaller lots than they have.
Have the citizens that were in the meeting been told that this or?
We discussed it in the meeting
And
and
they
they were pleased with it. They were pleased with it. And we said it would be brought up as an option to the council. As staff, we can't make any commitments or promise anything, but we did. So.
And,
Oh.
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Ty.
So in the meeting, there's a lot of public comments. There's been in the public hearing and then also a council meeting. And it really came down to they did not want multifamily or attached housing. And so they felt like the low density gave them a better chance at keeping single family, even though in medium density, we changed the definition from the current one says in the medium density that allows for multi-family, and that's changed in the definition of medium density, and they weren't aware of that change. But the new draft that's proposed, even the definition in medium density goes a long ways in helping with keeping things single family, because that was one of the big things that happened at the 13-plex was it was medium density, and medium density in the general plan allows for multi-family, and so that's one of the changes that it doesn't, medium density doesn't qualify for multi-family housing anymore. So between the definition and the land use being classified as low density, they were pretty happy with it, but the proposed map that they brought just was it didn't align with our current zoning, like Jake said, so we feel pretty good about the option.
So let me get it straight, medium density, there wouldn't be attached house.
Correct.
Now, in the new definition,
Dang, a little late, but it's okay.
but we went with what we had at the time, right? So
Right.
So my guess is, and Jake just said it, my guess is they probably felt by going to this low density that it might negate an MRO in that area. I'm sure that was one of their concerns.
And to reiterate for 100th time, it was never actually applied. It was never proposed officially. They never did an application. Developer talked about it, public responded with, to what they heard, and then the developer walked away. And has not come back.
So is this the option B map that you were?
at the end of the
Yes.
street, this was
Yes.
low density and this was low density.
In our ordinance here tonight that we approved,
And then when they
26-03,
like
that
clear.
includes this map.
What you would say with amended map.
We'll have to mention the amended
That
map.
map, not the one that's.
Yes,
Because,
We looked at last.
okay, that's
Last
that's all you would have to do and we would be good.
with the amended map. Okay,
Yes.
I wanted to be clear on that.
Yep. And I mean, we met for an hour and a half with them and that was really the key issue.
You know, Jake, if you look at the map and you look at all of the LDRs being on the outlying areas, and this is the part that we're changing basically right
Yes.
here. But I mean, that fits in with everything else we're doing. That's a comfortable fit in my mind,
Yes.
Kind of out there on the fringe.
On the fringe of the city.
just like everything else. You could almost look at that and say, yeah, it wasn't a change, that was maybe an original proposal.
Yeah, one of the,
It's a good compromise.
it's a compromise, but the capacity of 100 South is also like in the way it's currently, his land use is also was a planning perspective of why medium density still fit in because it's right along the corridor. So if you follow like the corridor here on Young Street, clear to the edge of our boundary, then it's still medium density. Right, and right here is still medium density going out State Street. And Young Street has a lot of capacity and there's a future road that will connect 100 South to Young Street, which also adds capacity. So I don't feel like it was like an oversight or either one fits,
It won't fit.
but medium densities.
Yeah, and the reason for the MDR is because it was matching up with the neighborhood that's there, existing zoning, existing built lots, and then the mountainside, so it wasn't continuing into agriculture. And then also we had the county's commercial with the dealership and the service center right behind and the mink farm. So it was, I think both are appropriate.
Let me just be clear that Hal Heiner's property would still be MDR, is that right?
Correct, and that's the one that's
It's
zoned R18.
It's already zoned.
And so we, you know, professionally, I would recommend we not change that to the LDRB because of, that would be a down zone. We'd have a conflict between the general plan and the zoning. And we wouldn't want to down zone the property.
The owner passed away here a few months ago. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Yeah, so there may be some changes coming down the road on that.
Okay.
Where's that?
Who's living in?
Hal Heiner died. You knew that.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know who lives there.
Dan.
My guess
Dan
is
in that house?
I'm sure.
Dan's in house.
I'm sure the state's going smoothly.
I'll just make if I could, Mayor, make another comment about the meeting that we had. We only met with bosses really. Cliff Sharp was just there to listen because his back property goes to the Heiner property. His concern isn't the same as the
The other end of
the other end, but he just wanted to learn and see what was going on. And then they did receive some texts from some other neighbors that sounded like they were a little bit confused on what's even being proposed. One of them said, why do we have to rezone right now? Like, let's take some more time. And it felt like they thought their property was, someone was proposing a rezone, which we're not. It's all R112. So there's gonna be more public comment tonight, but recognizing that the individuals that we met with don't represent the entire neighborhood. I think that's important. So traffic and safety and all of those other concerns that come out, I feel like have been addressed with the change in the new plan. And then I don't know how much the bosses went back to the neighborhood and really explained this is the option. And so there might be a little bit of confusion tonight, but I feel like it's in a really good spot to move forward with the compromise or the change that was made. It addresses those overarching concerns that were brought up.
You know, heretofore, the neighborhood's had a pretty active communication network system, if you will. So my guess is there's probably, and I would hope that it's been explained, but nonetheless, we're not changing any zoning tonight. That's what the community needs to understand is that it is what it is. It is how it is right this moment.
Yeah, and it's just land use, future land use. So whether it's medium or low density, the property that they're talking about is already R112. And so it's really likely that the property just develops as R112 without a
Zone
request
change.
for a rezone.
And that's what Red Rock is, right?
Part of it, yeah. The other part of it's R18.
I mean, that's another comfortable fit with the LDR is the R112
Mhm.
designation.
Yep, that's already captured in
Yeah.
that, so.
Well, good work. Thanks, Jake and Ty. Thanks for listening to them.
So it really just kind of changes right here, like this one street.
That's the street and then, whoop, and then the property behind.
Okay, okay, got it, yeah.
And that's it.
How much of this LDR is the changes mountain though? I mean,
It's a lot mountain.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there,
half of it, you're not doing anything with
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
unless you're building on the M or something.
That was another question that they didn't really understand is they're like, why is the mountain zone low density? And we had to tell them because it's in city limits. Then we have to have a future, designate a future land use for everything within the city limits.
it doesn't entitle it to be developed.
Yeah.
If it's a steep slope and a mountain, then that's what it is.
Okay, are we good on that one?
Yeah, you.
I think so.
One comment on Susie Bates, as long as she's alive, then he doesn't want that to develop.
How?
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
Like you got. three
she's only
brothers.
got Dan.
No, that's true. Oh, Tom's AWOL.
The bands.
Yeah.
Okay, Ty, our compensation schedule. That's the one you blew up?
Yep.
See ya.
I tried to make it a big deal.
Yeah.
So, in 2023, we did a salary survey, which is our first salary survey, and we adopted a new salary range with new step system, and we went through every position, and this updates that salary schedule. So over the last couple of years, we've done cost of living adjustments, which keeps things in line so they don't change much. And our goal then is similar to our goal now, is to keep all of our positions within 10%. So we don't necessarily match the average salaries for each one of the positions, the way they're classified, but we do try and keep them within 10%. Didn't know what to expect going into it, but kind of good news, bad news. There's quite a few positions that have held where we are paying in line with what the job description is. That's what all the green kind of represents. And then the red is where we were out of line. In some of these positions, we don't have anybody hired in the position, but it's part of our salary schedule. So the council adopts the schedule, the pay ranges, and then when we hire people in, then we put them within that range, and we have a step system that keeps them moving. So it's from the beginning to end, it's a 45% career path, if you want to call it that, just for being, you know, the longevity of an employee. So the first column is where we actually have the positions, current pay is the left, and then the median, which is inside that salary range. And then there's a little bit of red that shows up. Most of them were the top end positions. We have some, that's where the people are at. So even if the range is a little different, a lot of that, like the treasurer and the planning manager, have a lot of longevity. They've been here for a long time, and that's why theirs is still green. Even though if you move to the right, their salary range is behind behind the market.
So they represent all of our employees then.
Yep,
Okay, so 18.
Full-time city employees?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then, but then we have a couple crossing guards and
Right.
seasonal. And so, I think we have 20 teen.
So what's the difference between the black and the red? Are the red positions the ones that are not filled on the very left-hand side that could
On the very left-hand side? Oh, so those are positions that we don't have filled.
the red ones we do
We
not
do
have
not,
filled?
yeah.
Okay, do we need to fill those?
No,
Okay.
though, that's kind of, that's kind of for future. So like the whole planning, we don't have a planning department. So right now we consult all of planning services. So like Jake is our whole planning department.
Yeah,
But if we grow to a point or we get tired of Jake and we want to hire our own planner, then we would have to put them in like a planner 1, 2, or 3 based on
got it.
experience. And we don't have any plans to fill that. We don't have an assistant city manager. We do have a public works director vacant. So Mark Schmid, when he retired and passed away, we never replaced him. I just became the public works director. So I fill that position, but the black one, or public works director is actually included in our budget every year, even though we don't.
So is that something you want to fill, Ty, at some point, or you're handling it all?
I feel good about
Where we're at?
where we're at. Yep, we haven't added employees other than the power department since I've been here. When I first got here, we just had me and we had one lineman, and so that was
We've got one on the street, so don't I?
but we added Chase to streets, and so we're doing better that way than to have a public works director.
To more help.
That was a path that you chose to take early on. That's one that you've been
Well,
following.
so that actually
while.
came from the management team. I was ready to replace the public works director,
Mhm.
and at the time, the personalities at the room were all kind of looking at each other like, well, I don't want to be it, but I don't want him to be it either. Like nobody was really ready. Nobody had a lot of leadership experience. And so there was kind of we went around and divided up all of the stuff, like somebody's over equipment now, somebody's over our buildings. So like repairing our own buildings, and we divided up some of those things and then just left the budgeting and the human resource, like hiring and disciplining and promoting and all that up to me. But the whole group felt like, let's not get a public works director. Let's just have you do it. That's kind of how the meeting went. And so we did that, and then I got an assistant. So before that happened, I was probably for about 2 years there, I was in pretty deep, and then, yeah, but since we've had Wanda, then we've been just going just fine with all the department heads, so.
Ty, maybe talk a little, and if you're through, talk a little bit about the survey and where that material comes from, and how does that match what Morgan is doing? I mean, we could compare ourselves with Los Angeles City, for example, and it wouldn't be a fair comparison.
Yeah, so they're all Utah. It's all Utah based. It's called TechNet, and the most of the cities participate. So you pay, and by participating, you have to provide your payroll data,
Information, yeah.
and then what you get in return is access to everybody else's payroll data and it says last time it was updated. So this is like before it shows up on the internet, or this is like last year's pay, and everybody updates it every year.
So as you're looking at this survey,
Uh-huh.
I assume it probably has a lot of criteria, like city, how many citizens there are in the city, population, right? I guess. How many full-time employees there are. I assume there's a lot of different criteria, right?
Would it-
That you can kind of zero down.
Yeah,
The state classifies the cities, aren't there 4 or 5 different classifications? for
For
city?
5,
yeah.
Wouldn't it be fair for us to be comparing a similar class city rather than a Salt Lake?
Not necessarily, because we do it by job classification, and so and I brought this up before, like when I was in my negotiations for
Contract.
my contract, is a city manager costs what a city manager costs. And so we're right now about where an assistant city manager would make in any other city. So like a public works director costs what a public works director costs. The same with the journeyman lineman, or
Like Clark?
anybody that's experienced in any of those fields, like a road supervisor has that same skill set as any other road supervisor. And the only difference is, yeah, they might not supervise as many people, but our people handle more things. So just like our water and sewer, our supervisor handles collection, treatment, delivery. And in a larger city, all they do is the delivery. And then they manage more people. So the certification level is the same for our water and sewer as any other city. And so it just takes all of the pay, and then we just look at the midpoint, which is influenced high and low, but then the midpoint that comes out is the market that we consider.
Another way of stating what you just said is if we're not competitive, we're gonna lose the employee.
Yeah, same like a,
The market's the market.
And we're.
Regardless of where you're
we're
at.
Competing with
Yeah,
everyone.
with every,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Salt Lake.
Water doesn't matter, yeah.
Washington County.
yeah, I've seen this a couple of times, where we've had to replace someone. A water superintendent or maybe a power superintendent over the years. And we haven't updated our salary schedule. So when we go out to find
Can't
one,
attract
when we
anybody.
go out to find, yeah, we have sticker shock because, we're so outdated on our salary schedule, so.
yeah, and you can try, but
Mhm.
the other side of being small is we only have to have one of each position, right? So like right now, Laurie's retiring. We just posted her job. If her job is in line, then we can get someone experienced, or we can just try and get by with, and that's a mentality, right? It's like, well, we're small, we'll just get like a stay-at-home mom that.
Build our own.
And come and figure it out, but we'll actually get people with the CPA background and, not that they won't be like a stay-at-home mom or whatever. That was probably a wrong comparison, but, I know a better comparison is based on like, well, what the school pays. Right? That's a whole different animal, that we're not really in that market. We're in the market of what these positions require.
Someone that's.
Yeah, well, even down to seasonal, right? Like you could say, well, do we really want to pay our parks superintendent what we pay our park superintendent when there's kids in high school that can come and learn how to do that job? And so,
Well, I'll back him up because I haven't had one complaint since he took over.
well, yeah, and it's a leadership responsibility, and in that salary range, then he also has a career path to look forward to. He's not just locked in, and we didn't negotiate that based on one. We didn't make that up. That's the pay range of if he wanted to go to Layton or Clearfield or
Yeah.
somewhere. That's what that's what that pay indicates, and so.
Hi, if this were adopted tonight, talk a little bit about a fiscal impact immediately and then down the road, what will that, and do we have the ability to pay, to fund it, to pay for it?
Yeah, so if we adopt it tonight, it would have been similar to just adopting another 2.5% cost of living increase, which
Overall,
yeah, which
yeah.
overall, except for this makes adjustments to certain positions and some people don't get the increase, but other positions like clerk and the apprentices and mine and recorder and treasurer all have an adjustment. And so that happens. You never know when you do a market study, how that's gonna turn out, and it won't cause like a budget increase or anything along those lines. So we're pretty conservative on each annual budget, but I'm about halfway on the tentative budget, which is due in the beginning of May, but part of it is these budget numbers, but right now I don't propose like a property tax increase or anything.
So did I hear you correctly when you said if we adopt this tonight, it doesn't affect the overall city budget?
No, it just gives us the new
Range,
range,
Okay,
but
then-
people stay where they're,
got it,
the range.
got it.
but their earning potential goes up. So in the long, like the question about short-term versus long-term, short-term, pretty minimal impact, especially with, Laurie that's at the top of her range retiring, and then we hire back in at the low range.
Yeah.
We just did that with Denise. You hire back in, but in the long term, their earning potential will be higher than.
Yeah.
What,
And-
what happened is, in the old days, we had a lot of employees that actually had topped out. And
Mm,
so
There's nowhere to put them.
all they were getting was basically a COLA. But then we went to replace them, and even our salary schedule where they had topped out, couldn't find
find
anybody to
anybody.
come to work for us for that kind of,
Yeah.
with that salary. So it was,
That's a good point. So in the, like, just in the office staff, if you take that group and you don't move them along
Yeah.
the range and you don't make a change, then when you hire a brand new person in order to recruit them, then you end up paying them the same or more than people that have 5 or
20 year.
20 years of experience. We really, it's called compression, and we had a lot of that when we
yeah,
So we got going with
yeah,
this.
it did.
started, yeah. And it was kind of arbitrary. Who made what? Some people got hired in at a
Yeah.
Plus year of.
It wasn't,
higher level and other people got left behind, and this is,
This is a more direct scale to follow.
yeah,
it wasn't
Science to
arbitrary.
what's that?
Said it wasn't somewhat arbitrary, it was pretty arbitrary sometimes, so.
Yeah, well, I wasn't here at the time, so.
So what about health
Whether
insurance?
Tony liked you or not,
What
right?
about health insurance, Ty? Have you looked at that?
Yeah, so I think it's 4.9% increase, which we can fund without increasing the budget. And a lot of that is the insurance buyout
Yeah,
that we do. We have 7 people on the insurance buyout. I want to say it's 80 or 90,000 that we save
on that.
on that.
those.
And then, like I said, with, like Laurie retiring and, it kind of balances out, so,
Dollar savings there.
yeah.
It looked like there were some categories that maybe went the other way. Instead of ranges increasing based on current salaries, maybe they were, like you say, maybe already maxed out, or those ranges actually would dampen perhaps? Is there any concern there?
No, so I didn't propose any decrease in any ranges, so
Okay.
there's only zeros and there's some that make 11 or 12% of median, so they're only like 1 point above the criteria of keeping it within 10%. high or low,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? But, we just left them right where they're at. And then,
Still something for that they can look forward to
yeah,
also.
yeah. And then, yeah, so you can see our current range and then our proposed range. And the percent adjustments. But I feel really good that we're able to make it all green on the proposed range, which is within
Within our 10%.
within 10%, yeah. The overall increase, I think was 49,000. It would increase. So payroll's 1.5 million,
Mhm.
and the total increase funding this is like
Significant.
49,000 without considering the decrease in the treasurer position.
It's not moving the needle very much.
Yes, but you know, it's, I did not, there's no way to do, council. Like that's not part of the Sheridan, that's way across, that's way all over the map. Some get paid very minimally per meeting that they attend, and some people get, you know, almost the same as a full-time. Depends on where
What about the mayor's range?
you're at.
That's what I was just looking at. No
Yeah,
wonder,
that's a
no
tough
wonder he
one.
ran again.
I'm not seeing much of a range there, Steve.
Yeah, and that's just, that was based off of last year, so that's not considering, but you could consider like a cost of living adjustment or anything else that you want to do to keep that moving, because that wasn't part of the salary survey. And so that's an item to discuss, but,
Don't you build in a cost of living on those amounts?
when we do the rest of the staff,
Right.
so this year I'm not proposing a cost of living. I did a market study which replaced
Okay.
the cost of living, and that's kind of the trade-off, is one or the other. So some get adjusted, but others don't get adjusted, and so that's why it's a minimal impact overall. It's a lot if you do it like a 2.5% or 3% to the $1.5 million budget. It's pretty much the same thing, and then we would probably be talking about some adjustments, increases, yeah. The other, the one thing I will add in the budget is in the increase in the general fund, the administrative department will have an increase salary, where in some of the others it's leveraged across different pay codes. So there's a couple in power, there's a couple here, there's a couple there, but the treasurer, recorder, and me are all in the administration. And so, you know, when the tentative budget comes out, you'll see that it looks like there's a big salary increase, but it's only in the administration. It's not in every department.
That's a reflection of
The
this
red,
here.
the red
Yeah.
at the top, yeah.
So you said 49,000 overall, Ty?
49 or 6, one of the,
Upside down?
so I went with 49 because it's more conservative. Remember, I could look it up on my computer too. I forgot I brought my computer if there's anything that you want me to dig into. Yeah, and then funding the health insurance increase, I still feel like is important. It means a lot to the employees.
Oh, it's a huge benefit.
Well, and it's one area that you don't have to negotiate every year. It's kind of disingenuous to say, we're gonna give you a 2.5% increase, but you have to pay $400 more a month on your health insurance, or how you split that.
Social Security.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an advantage of being small. And I really, you know, when I do this, I just, every time I go through, I just am more grateful for our employees. I mean, it's not hard to complain and add, every time you come into a problem, instead of fixing the problem, you just hire new people. Or, you know, you don't, a lot of government entities don't do as good a job as prioritizing. Our departments all come together and share resources. We're talking about like office or shop space, and every day we talk about, or every time we meet, it's a new proposal about, well, you know, if we put one building at the sewer, could we all share it? And what would we put in it? Well, if that's too far away, or you know, or what if we put one up at the cemetery, then they're always working towards, instead of saying, well, we don't need 5 different shops. We need to figure out the utility of it, and stuff like that is just pretty gratifying as a manager that's kind of responsible for the overall budget, the way that things have been going, so. Yeah, and then the rest of the chart's explanatory, I think, where you have the current range to the proposed range, and then the market. If there's any one in particular that you want to talk about, or anything that you want me to go into, I do recognize that my adjustment is one that is proposed to get funded when some of the others aren't. That's kind of hard as a manager to say I'm out of range, you know what I mean? And other people aren't, but I do, like, earlier this year, I gave step increases to, like, 1 to 3 step increases to almost every employee when we did goal setting. And I wasn't part of that. I don't have anybody to give me a step. I take care of the employees, I guess, is what I'm saying. And so I don't feel bad about in 1 year being funded, when, as long as I'm taking care of all of the employees, it just is what it is. I think that's
So how do you get your pay raises?
through this.
Just through this, just through the program?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'm not allowed, in my contract, I'm not allowed to negotiate my salary anymore in the performance review, so. I'm just, right now, I'm just along the ride in the longevity part of, just like the other employees, other than when I did make an adjustment, so.
Ty, why would your range be so far out? In fact, it's the second highest, looks like range that's not in step. It seems like as we've gone along, we've tried to be competitive. Why is that so far off?
So last time we did it, we did bring it up into where it was competitive, and then that was right after COVID, and a lot of inflation and stuff like that happened after that. And so that's why I think not just mine, but common with some of the other administrative positions got more competitive.
So playing some catch up, then, it appears.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Well, and we also didn't, so if you notice too, it's like within 7% on the low end and within 8%. So we're right at the, like right here. It's just barely, it's green, but it's just barely green. So it is behind, it's not leading the way, or it's not right at the midpoint, which is fine. So I like to also just talk about replacement. You got to think about replacement in these positions. If you like mine specifically, if you hired a new city manager, do you want to actually get a city manager or an assistant city manager with experience or try and create a revolving door situation that happens when someone just wants the job title and then they,
Step on.
Mhm.
you know, they come from another administrative position, get the job title, and then they're gone in 2 years. So,
So I'm just gonna pick out just the parks and cemetery. So on the far side of the scale, the proposed range and say the parks and cemetery manager, that's 89.9 and he's currently at 76.4. So the proposed range, is that something you're proposing that he goes up to?
so the parks manager,
So
his current range is 59, the low end is 59. And we're proposing to bump that up to 62.
62 for the low end.
So that would be a 4%.
Oh, I was one guy off, huh?
So that would be a 4% increase.
Yeah.
To get to that.
Well, but that's where I'm confused. It says current pay is 76,419.
No, that's the median. So
Current is the
his,
80.
his current pay is 80.
80.
1,641.
This isn't, this is current pay right here. It's
Okay.
not-
so
And then
1,000.
And then the average or the median for that job position
70.
is he's 5% above the median for the actual position. And then the next one's the range. So the first column is more where the person is at. And the second one is where their range starts and stops. So this would propose a 4% increase. And then right now the top end is 85.9, and this would take it to 89.90, 900. So essentially he'd receive a 4% increase.
Over the longevity.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then some of those positions too, that's like when we ask about public works director, I don't see one in the immediate future, but that's something for these department heads to work towards.
Yeah.
And so that's nice that it's vacant as well as career path. Parks and cemeteries could potentially max out and feel like they need to move or go to a different city. But if we do have another step up opening that they could qualify for, that would be good, but they need experience in multiple departments to be public works director.
Yeah.
You got to know a little something about all of it.
So maybe this is not the correct time to ask this, but just curious, what's so far, let's see, we're in April, fiscal year's got, what, 3 more months or so? So what's our sales tax looking like compared to a year ago, or have you looked?
It's, so I know as of December that we're just right on track for what we did last year. So our budget was for 1.4 million in sales tax and we were right on track. But then the CPA firm does tax season until yesterday or tomorrow. And then they'll have to come back and catch us up a couple months. So like, I don't have like last month's
Okay.
totals, if that makes sense, if we're still on track. But when I look through that, I kind of feel like we're pretty maxed on sales tax. I don't know that our businesses can do more than they're doing. You know, you bring one more business in and somebody else is gonna close. Like, you know, we had McDonald's and then we don't have River Burger and stuff like that.
You said a minute ago, you think we could do this without an increase in property taxes? That would.
Yeah.
Depends in auto sales.
In auto? Oh, yeah.
Tax from auto sales?
Yeah, they're pretty consistent.
Not declining.
They haven't declined, yeah.
Okay.
One nice thing is we added, we did get a little boost from the power sports. So Polaris that's up in Wilkinson, they, when Young bought that, they put a point of sales at the Dodge dealership. They actually addressed it to the Dodge dealership, so all the sales from that come to the city.
Even though it's in the county.
The machines are in the county, but they sell them from Morgan City. And so,
That's nice.
yeah, and it's surprising how much that adds up to. It's,
Well, we just instituted a MAP tax too, so that's.
so that didn't go so well. The tax commission just totally blew it, like nobody knew how to set that up. And so between that and the accountants not doing anything since December when it was implemented, I'm not sure where we're at, but
We're gonna collecting that.
well, but it doesn't show up on our books yet. And so, and it should have been like an automatic. So there's a big catch-up period. So I'm kind of blind right now to what we budgeted to where the Met tax actually is. And so on the tentative budget, I lowered the estimate for next year. And with only having half a year, and I won't know where we're at when I do the tentative budget, I just have to lower it for next year until we have a full year to budget off of.
Maybe it'll be a good surprise.
Yeah, but I'm being conservative, so I lowered the budget amount for next year's tentative budget.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, just because I cut it by half, so next year's budget would be 150, and we thought it would be like 300 when we first started. And that's another reason not to propose a property tax, is because we haven't really had the Met tax come to fruition, which was the reason for not doing a property tax, is because we did Met tax. And that hasn't panned out yet, or I don't know where we're at on it, so.
Laura, and you know what that is, the Met tax,
I know we've talked about it before.
Met municipal energy tax, so
Yeah,
6% on like our power department
okay.
and bridge. We could charge up to 6% municipal energy tax, so, and we haven't been doing that very long, just started it.
It was supposed to start last October and we didn't get, the tax commission didn't get it out until January because they only do it quarterly. So they messed up on the first 3 months, and then the accounting of it's been off since January, so.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's any other pay scale questions?
Thanks for the work in putting this together.
I listened to a lot of good music while I put this together.
Motown?
I don't even want to know.
You don't even wanna
What
know.
do you listen?
I didn't even have my shoes on, so it almost didn't feel like
No shoes and music.
work. I sometimes barricade myself when I.
Well, it was definitely something that needed to be done and overhauled a few years ago, that's for sure.
And that's why I feel like it's
Yeah.
important to keep up on it, because if not, there's gonna be
Bigger
a
gaps.
time where there's a real big gap, or we get caught
You know,
trying to hire
yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
I think it's important.
Okay, thank you. Gary, you got training on fast speed or?
9 minutes. No, we're good. What do you want to know about? In 9 minutes, let me,
I have a question for you.
okay,
Okay, no, go ahead.
no, please.
I was gonna say, when the residents were in here and they were talking about how the rural doesn't count because we're a rural community rather than an urban community. Am I making any sense? Does
Yes,
anyone
yeah,
remember what they
you
were
are.
talking about? What does that have any weight?
Okay, so I think what he was referring to is, I'm trying to think of what he was talking about at the time. It was,
Density.
density is what he was talking, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because he indicated that the legislators were focused on the urban communities when they looked at making the max or the 6,000 square foot lots the standard across the state
Mhm.
in every zone, in every residential zone. And so while we were there, I looked up because I'm up there a lot of the time. I'm not so much up there anymore, but I remember Ward's bill. And I wanted to see if they had distinguished between urban and rural. And his original bill included all municipalities across the state. And if it had not been for the League of Cities and Towns that actually opposed the bill, his first draft was every single, I showed him and he was looking at another bill by somebody else, but he wasn't looking at the Ward bill, which was the main bill that would have changed the zoning to allow 6,000 square foot lots in every residential zone across the state. And so that was what he was saying. He was saying, well, they're not making these rules, not putting them in place for rural communities as well as urban. But the reality is up on the hill, they're looking at Torrey, they're looking at, Fruta and all these other places and saying exactly the same standard should apply. So that was the discussion that I had with him afterwards. And I
So
showed
it is
Jake that.
all, it's not a designation.
No,
Okay.
no,
Well,
no,
there really isn't that designation.
no, they don't separate. When it comes to zoning, planning and zoning, they do give you a break on, for example, filing of plans. They give you a little more time as rural communities. They give you a little more time to do things, but they don't exempt rural communities from the standards that they're establishing for the increase in the number of affordable housing units in the state. That's blanketing the state as a whole. So
That bill did not pass.
it did not,
Okay.
no, and like I say, there was strong opposition from the league that essentially turned that committee around and literally first of all amended it to make it just the rural or urban communities. And then they eliminated it altogether and said, this isn't gonna work. And so,
So what we're proposing to do tonight, the state can't come and back on that.
not saying they couldn't do it,
We're
but
compliant
Yeah.
with the state code.
100% this year. What they do next
now.
year, yeah, right. But it's a threat every single year because, and we try to say this when we go up there, and that is that progress doesn't work. All
Yeah.
communities are not the same.
Not created equal.
And yeah, and each community is different, their needs are different, they're created different. In fact, I was just looking at the totals for outdoor watering. And because right now water's a big deal and we've got some work to do on our water exactions and water requirements. But I was looking at the standards and from Cache County, they used to estimate the number of acres that you need for outdoor watering based on outdoor watering on what it takes to water an alfalfa crop in a month basis. And that's a very thirsty crop,
Right.
But the difference, Cache County takes 6 acre feet and down here in the Wasatch Front, it's about 3 acre feet per acre of property. So, I mean, even little things like water, you can't just take a broad brush and say every community needs to limit their water dedications to or exactions to this number of acre feet. So I hope that answered your question, but
So what do they do with that 20 acres of alfalfa that's now in a subdivision as far as the water right is concerned?
well,
You know what I'm saying? You've got so many shares equal so many acre feet. They'll water your alfalfa for the last 50 years. Now it's a subdivision.
mhm.
Does somebody change that, that formula, or do you still have that amount of water for that 20 acres or?
We'll have that amount of water on the 20 acres. However, you remember there's a forfeiture clause in the state water laws that will require forfeiture of water if it has not been used continuously for a 7-year period of time. So even though a developer may have 40 acre feet of water on, just a few lots, when he puts the lots in, now it's only 10. If he leaves that for 7 years, it is subject to forfeiture at the state level. Now, the state engineer hasn't done this yet, but the tighter water gets, the more likely he is to start executing on some of those. We've got a lot of paper and not as much water in the ground as we have paper above the ground.
So can you protect some of that water right by charging it into a secondary system or charging a secondary system with it?
So this is the interesting thing, and that is that you can protect that water right by giving it to the city. And the reason for that is the city has a 40-year forfeiture. So the city can take as much water as it needs and plan for a 40-year period of time. And whereas just an individual, 7 years. Forfeiture occurs in 7 years. So your best option is to give it to the city for the city to exact the water and the city to actually distribute those shares as needed, because we have a lot broader area that we could actually do that in.
And we can't sell it.
And we can't sell it. You can't sell it. But you also can't exact more than you will need. Your engineers calculate you'll need over that 40-year period of time. And so it's.
Water's
Are we
tricky.
gonna have to do that again?
So I'm turning this off. But I'm telling you that a lot of, as these homes are developed in residential areas and the alfalfa disappears, secondary water companies, they don't have the luxury of holding that water and not using it for more than 7 years. They come under the same requirements as just an ordinary water. That's the reason a lot of these secondary water companies are actually turning their water systems over to municipalities. Now municipality can take that water. It can evenly distribute it and take into consideration indoor use and outdoor use. And it is a better deal not only for the property owners, because those that are still using it for agricultural use can do that. But it also eliminates the possibility of forfeiture.
That same influence of Gary. Always been a big deal, that water.
Yeah.
I think it's been a lot of fish fights out on the lake.
I think it's gonna get bigger as Jan and Carl.
Ray and Jan.
Yeah.
Fans.
And,
Let's move on to our next meeting.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's the 9 minutes.
Oh, we do it.
I gotta get my mic. I got a mic up. I might have to grab a cookie. Thanks, Sawyer.
Butter.
No, that looks like a snickerdoodle to me. Hey, flag looks great on it.
Oh, thanks. So I found out that it doesn't go up and down. I have to use the bucket truck. Yeah.
What you know, with that is brought to you by one of our citizens who roamed around town.
Yeah, that's it.
Huh? You have to run this. Every year, I think the same thing, and that is on the budget. Those increases, I think Can we sustain this forever? For that.
It's pretty bright in there. It's pretty bright in there.
I don't know. Oh, wait, I forgot my paperwork.
So you're still home.
I think I've. Dang it.
Jeffrey. Yeah. I mean, opening ceremony.
Yes, yes. See if I got skateboard here. Sure.
I parked outside.
With no broken arm.
Sure.
That's good.
I think I was looking for the lead and you sent the media.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanna be the one they're looking at.
Well, thank you, Jeff. We've got another year of school behind you.
Rolling by in a hurry.
You know. And we like where you'll be at the retiring age.
That's all we have to go to school.
How many years you got in them? 25.
Are we up and going, Janet? Okay. Welcome, everyone, to our city council meeting, April 14th, 2026. The residents that are here, we've been in a work meeting, as we usually always are. And now we'll begin our general meeting. I've asked Lorianne would give our pledge.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey will give our prayer.
If everyone will stand and repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful for this beautiful spring evening to be here in the Morgan City Chambers and to be able to discuss the affairs and the needs of this community. We ask for thy blessing to be here, that we'll be able to speak and listen and understand and share concerns that we have with one another, so that we can make this place even better for future generations. We're so grateful for the moisture we've recently received, and please continue to bless us with the moisture that is necessary for us to continue the lifestyles that we so love here in our community. We ask a blessing to be upon our military servicemen and first responders and those that are out protecting our freedoms and our rights. Let them know of our support for them and bless them with safety and their families with the help that they need. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, I will entertain an approval of the meeting's agenda.
Steve, I got one item
Okay.
on the agenda. On April 1st, we published a notice of a public hearing for I think the two ordinances that we're considering tonight, and I don't see it on the agenda. Yeah, notice of public hearing by the City Council of Morgan, Utah. News release date was for April 1. And then on our own agenda on City Council news and events, it says notice of public hearing by the City Council. It's hereby given that the City Council of Morgan, Utah will hold a public hearing in connection with their meeting on Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. But it's not part of our agenda. Where does it say public hearing?
No needs.
So do we need to change the agenda? Okay, that'd be one change then, Steve.
Okay, with that approval of the meeting with that change, is that what we're saying, Dave?
That'll work.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I'll also,
Thank you.
items A and B on the consent agenda. Or and C, if we can, if there's any discussion or changes, corrections. If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I have one question on a warrant. Thai Renegade Landscapes, check for 41,000 for Pheasant Run. What was that for?
So that was to finish the detention pond
Okay.
in Pheasant Run, and we collected the remaining balance from the,
Escrow.
from the developer.
Gotcha.
So they could, it was beginning of the winter, and instead of making them wait till spring, we took the money and paid for it ourselves.
That's all I had.
Mayor, I will then make a motion that we approve of the minutes of city council meeting, March 24th, 2026, the minutes of the work meeting, March 24th, 2026, and the warrants, March 23rd, 2026 through April 10th, 2026.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Janet, was there any formal public comments to you? Yeah, that wrote in, okay. There's a little time set aside to have a public comment. If there's any public comments, we'll invite you to the podium. And state your name and your address.
I am Jill Boss. Excuse me, I live at 586 Red Rock Way. And I wanted to stand and thank Teresa and Jake and Ty for meeting with us and helping us better understand the process and decisions that were made to help update the city plan and address our concerns as citizens of the Red Rock neighborhood and over in that area. And I just feel it's important that we have that public discourse, that we were able to have that discussion And it meant a lot to us to have them take that time and help us to understand what was going on and from their perspective and to listen to our concerns. So I wanted to say thank you. I think we all came away we came away understanding better where they were coming from, and I think they came away better understanding our concerns. So we're thankful for that. Excuse me. I don't know how many minutes I have left. One of the things that we wanted to do in addressing the updated plan was over in our area to move the Red Rock area that like east of the Red Rock neighborhood, what's zoned R112 and RR, that's within the city, out of the medium density and into a low density designation for the future plan use. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And it's the more to offer clarity for the citizens so they know they can know what to expect is going to go in behind there. And two, to offer clarity to any developers and people who want to develop that land to understand what the city wants moving forward. It's our understanding and experience that developers will come in and push that plan to the next level. So if it's zoned medium density, they might push for high density. If it's designated as low density, they may push for medium. And I think we're all fine with medium density because that's what it is currently zoned as in the Red Rock area, but behind that, it's actually in low density square footage for the lot sizes. So in other areas of the city and I think Brett has the maps, but they have the low density designation for things that are zoned R112 in other areas, except for in that one neighborhood. So we just wanted to kind of bring that into alignment with where it is everywhere else in the city. And I think that's probably my time. So I'll let you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brett Boss. I'm also at 586 Red Rock. And I too would like to thank Ty, Jake, and Teresa for meeting with us. It was very informative. We learned a lot. And coming from that, I think we were able to express one concern that we had that is in the city plan under medium density. And under medium density, it has this exact wording. Bonus densities could be encouraged as part of overlay zoning mechanisms, providing an incentive to meet architectural design standard and provide high quality parks and amenities. And that's kind of the concern we have with the areas being marked as medium density right next to us. And like my wife said, even though, we don't, it doesn't always happen that developers come in and want to have some extra flexibility and so want to push zoning, but it isn't uncommon. So with that, with the guidance of the city, with Jake and Ty and Teresa, I mean, we created another map that's actually a lot more reasonable. We didn't know what was reasonable. We didn't know what reasonable land use would be for our area. So it's not what we ideally wanted, but it is reasonable within the zoning and all the other constraints that we talked about in our discussion that we had with them. So we hope that I believe it will be in front of you to be able to use a modified future or optional future land use map. And we hope that you'll take a good look at that and see if that meets what you believe the area should be. And with that time, I mean, the other thing that we were able to do with that extra time is we were able to actually meet with one of the majority landowners over there, Stu Wilkinson, and talk to him about what his expectations were. And he aligned with our expectations too. He said that was his plan too. He doesn't see any reason for it to be medium density. So we were able to at least reach out to someone in our neighborhood and find out more about that as well. So that's what we're asking. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all you do. Thanks.
Thank you. More comments?
That's mostly for looks. I'm happy to do some tricks after if anyone wants to see them. My name's Kate Richens. My wife and I live here with our 3 kids here in Morgan. Just to clear the air, I'm not related to Jeffrey. We're just friends, right? Jeffrey, it's distant. It's distant, yeah. We both crossed the border and love Morgan. I was telling Ty, I'm actually going through a little bit of a midlife crisis, and I've come back to skateboarding. And the reason I'm here today is to suggest a new skate park be considered for our town. Our current skate park, which I skated on as a kid, has seen better days. It's starting to deteriorate. There's actually some dangerous things about it, but I feel replacing our old skate park with a new cement skate park would be a great investment and benefit for our community. Skateboarding offers comprehensive physical benefits, including improved balance, coordination, core strength, while serving as a high-intensity cardio workout. Mentally, it boosts confidence, reduces stress, and fosters resilience. If you go to, I was actually talking to Ernie, he takes his grandkids to the skate park sometimes. If you go to the new one that they made in South Ogden, it's probably the newest one we have, at least in this area, you'll find all kinds of people, young and old, beginners, guys that are pretty good. It's a great place to exercise, to meet people. Skateboarding isn't a competition. It's kind of you against yourself. It's an amazing outlet. Plus it's cool. And I'm not here to convince you of the benefits of skateboarding and recreating in that way, but rather maybe talk about the possibilities of how we could make this happen. One of the conversations Ty and I had was obviously cost is going to be a concern, and how does this come to be? The research I've done, I've actually reached out to South Ogden, but I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody. I did get some names of people I need to talk to, but the average cost of a in-place concrete skate park generally costs about $40 to $80 per square foot, with a typical average around $55 per square foot. A standard 10,000 square foot community skate park usually costs between $400,000 and $700,000 to design and build. And the major concern is how do we pay for that? Ty and I discussed some grants that are available. I'm not sure if they were for this year or next year. I certainly believe there would be a lot of local support from businesses. We have a great community with businesses and people that I think would be happy to be involved. Perhaps the county could be involved. And I don't know if you know this or not, but we actually have a cement plant in our county. So I'm sure Ernie could talk to somebody over. He's wearing the cement plant jacket. This is just kind of beginning phase. I've talked with Ty about it. I'm happy to be involved in any way. And I have a quote in my closing statements from Tony Hawk. If you don't know who Tony Hawk is, get on the internet. Yeah, shame on you. Exactly. I would vote for Tony for president, but he said, skate parks are important to a community. In my formative years, the skate park saved me and made me who I am today. All you have to do is drive by the empty tennis courts and basketball courts and compare them to the skate parks. Come on, people, get with the program. Skateboarding is a sport or activity where everybody falls and it's okay. It's accepted and it's expected. You're encouraged to get back on, which is life. I'd love to be involved in any way that I can. I'm sure others would be as well. I'd like you to consider getting a new skate park for our town. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you. Okay, we have any more comments? Okay, thank you for your comments and your input. I just had my eyes checked, so my eyes are like dilated, so you guys are just, woo. So sorry about that. I think we have item 4 is a verbal presentation in the 2026 Operation Graduation Fundraising Program. So you're probably not here for the political science class. So if you would like to step up or we can bring you a mic.
They said they wanted to.
They wanted to step up there. That'd be good. Okay. You have some time.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to add to Rich's comment about skate parks and say as a kid, I would appreciate that very much. I know lots of students at my school that love skating. I think you should do it.
That was not staged, by the way. I do know people get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
Senior class not here?
Is it senior? Yeah.
Is the senior class representatives?
You guys aren't the senior class officers? Okay.
Looks like we had a no-show.
No one here representing Operation Graduation?
Asking for money, huh? Right. Hmm.
We'll,
Do we need to have a formal presentation for that, or? I mean, done it for years. Is it something we could just do without a formal presentation?
So, yeah, it's budgeted. We do it every year, but it's an opportunity for the student body officers. And we do the same thing with the cheerleaders and the flags, is they usually just come and present
And
for
make them
the,
come here.
So they stood us up?
what's that?
Did they stand us up?
Yeah,
so far,
but we can put it on the next agenda,
Yeah.
but we'll still be working with them one way or the other. So
but it's a good experience for them.
This is just a fundraiser, but are they still wanting to do a service project
That's-
as
yeah.
well?
yeah,
Typically, they.
typically, yeah. They do that on senior day, so.
Okay, let's move to the active agenda. Item A. An ordinance adopting the Morgan City General Plan update.
You need to actually have the public
You want
hearings.
Public hearing first, Steve, before. the,
Amen, yes. That's where I should have wrote that in, huh?
okay.
I will make a motion that we move into the public hearing,
I have a second.
I'll second the motion.
or
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
We have some confusion.
Just, you don't need a public hearing for this, but did we advertise it as?
We did.
We did.
Is that what you mentioned? Okay, yeah, you're only required to have one public hearing on these, and that's in the planning commission, so
We
if
have,
you want to, and you've noticed it, go ahead. You don't need to have one
you say one public hearing, Gary, on,
on
The general
the
plan.
general plan.
right, but we're not, this is, the notice was for the two other ordinances, the 04 and 03, I think, 04 and 05. Floodways.
Oh,
And
oh,
the,
right.
and the
Okay,
collection that,
so are
Past
you
due
open,
claim.
you're gonna open the public hearing for all those, is it what you're?
not the,
Not the general plan.
not the general plan. It would be for the two ordinances.
Yeah, that would be.
I could be a little bit more specific on a motion.
take a whack at it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm confused. So we're going into a public hearing for,
Ordinance, the first one, not the first,
Looks like.
I'm sorry, Steve, the
B.
first one is the general plan. We could move forward with that.
that's.
Yeah, and then the next two, we'd want the public hearing before considering
B and C.
the action on the next two.
So my motion would have been for the general plan.
We don't need it. Yeah,
Okay,
and
we
Gary,
had that,
correct.
right?
The public hearing's already been held for the general plan, and that was in the planning
This
commission.
is just your decision on the general plan, on
Yeah.
the ordinance right now.
Well, I
approving the general
retract that
plan.
motion.
Okay, it's retracted.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Thank you.
I'm still confused, but
Item A, an ordinance adopting the Morgan City General Plan update. Jake?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So in our last meeting, I provided a presentation overview of the general plan, where we've been in terms of progress. 6-year overall plan, but this update is a 2-year effort. A year ago, the Planning Commission, we ended the public part and created a vision. And then the Planning Commission took a year to update all the chapters, and we worked through that. As mentioned, we've previously had the public hearing. Comment was received by the Planning Commission. You received that last meeting. A week ago, last week, we met with members of the Red Rock neighborhood to discuss the major concern. Do you have the other map as well? I just forwarded it over to you. Yeah, Janet's gonna pull that up. So as mentioned by members of the public, the concern is in the Red Rock neighborhood, looking at having the LDR on the Red Rock Street, and then the properties directly to the east. And so this is up. So now we have both maps available here so that you can see those. This is the biggest concern that we've seen so far. Before we dive into this, I do want to mention that in the general plan, we do have a recommendation for a skate park upgraded skate park at Riverside Park. So it's already in the plan and been discussed. So you'll notice, Janet, can you hover over the LDR area down and to your right, kind of the other side?
Right there.
Yeah, right there. So that's the area that's been changed. Previously was at MDR, medium density residential. The biggest difference is that LDR, the minimum lot size is 12,000 square feet, and the MDR is 10,000 square feet. So that's the big difference. Both do allow for overlay zones, and the text says when compatible or appropriate. And there is no proposed zone changes for this area right now. And and when you click on the other map, so they can just see that current. Oh, that's the same one.
Same
Well,
one.
that's okay. We're good with that. You see we can go back to the map. So this is an option B. If the council decides, you could make a vote to approve the plan as is. You could vote to approve the plan with the amended map as shown. Or if there's any other items, it's at your discretion. But I'm available for questions, and so is Gary.
Any more comment, discussion? Information, we worked on this in the work meeting for quite a while.
Well, yes, we did. We spent some time on it in the work meeting. I'm prepared to make a motion, and my motion would be that we adopt ordinance 2603 with the amended map. An ordinance adopting the Morgan City General Plan update, providing for repealer, providing for severability, and providing for an immediate effective date. That is my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Tony, a second from Dave. All in favor?
Does anybody have any discussion?
Is there any more discussion?
Oh, just thank you to the Planning Commission and the residents that has put some time in and questioned them and vetted through this. So thank you for your input and educating all of us. So appreciate that.
I guess there's one discussion from the mayor, just a comment. Appreciate residents when they stand and represent things instead of trying to ask men and lady up on this council to guess what you're thinking. So I appreciate immensely when we have residents commenting.
Okay, look, I need to make a comment too. I've been thinking about this quite a bit the last couple of weeks since we last met. And I just want to echo that. I appreciate the work that the planning commission and Ty and staff has done, but I appreciate you as citizens. I've been at this a day or two, and I often feel like as a city council, sometimes we operate in a vacuum. We'll have a budget hearing and no one's here. And so often we get very little comment or feedback from our citizens. And it's almost refreshing when we do have citizens with feedback and comments and some suggestions. So, sometimes we're accused of not listening, or we don't have a listening ear. And part of that is the fact that because we never hear anything, we're just, it's just crickets out there, and we appreciate your confidence and your vote of confidence, but it sure is nice to have you your feedback, and I think this does prove that we listen, and sometimes I know that sometimes the horse has already been let out of the barn, so to speak. Things are done, and then everybody becomes aware of what happened, and they're not happy with it. And so it's sort of a moot point. But anyway, that's my soapbox. I really do appreciate your input and your concern as citizens, and I think I can say we listen when there's something to listen to. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, just Paul Rank here, one more comment. That's why we live in a small town. I mean, you talk about our population and everything, and so we really, one side of the town to the other is, you can almost throw a rock. And it'd be nice to have residents, citizens keep up on it and help us to see what everybody wants. So, okay, we've had comments. Any more? Had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Janet, that's unanimous. Now I will entertain B and C. You're confused still?
Do we have to do?
Yeah, I'd be willing to
Please
propose a
do.
motion. So Mayor, I move that we convene or open a public hearing for the purpose of receiving a public comment regarding the following two ordinances. Ordinance 2604, an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Morgan City Code to provide for the collection of delinquent utility charges and authorize the recording of political subdivision liens for unpaid utility service fees. And ordinance 2605, an ordinance amending Title 12 of the floodways provision of the Morgan City Code to provide for the development of a fishery/park project.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Comment? Tony?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay. All in favor of moving into this public comment?
Was there a second?
I second.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's move into some public comment. Or this is sort of a formality. Please, public.
Yeah, if there's no comment, it is a formality,
Yeah.
but there will be discussion after. There can be.
Okay, we have no public comment.
Nothing online, Janet?
I don't see anything online. Okay, I'll take a motion to close the.
Steve, I would move that we close the public hearing.
I can second that again.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Janet, that's unanimous. So let's officially move into item B. An ordinance amending Title 8 of the Morgan City Code to provide for the collections of delinquent utility charges and to authorize the recording of political subdivision liens for unpaid utility service fees. Ordinance 2604. Ready to shine? Gary is up.
Short time ago, Teresa called and just asked if, with some of the collection issues that the city sometimes gets, not very often, but sometimes gets on utility bills that, where individuals just insist that they're not going to pay, and they don't pay. And when the city's not able to collect and they accumulate, she asked whether or not there was a lien process that could be imposed so that when the property is sold, that would have to be paid off. And the answer is, until last year, no, there was not. In fact, the legislature specifically prohibited liens for utilities, for utility bills. And last year at the legislature, they made a change in the law, which was a 180. And they do allow now municipal liens for utilities. And they have a specific process for notification. You have to notify, you have to let them know that the delinquency exists. There's a 30-day period that passes. You have to continue to try and collect over that period. And then you have to notify them that you will impose a lien, and you have to give them a period of time, 60 days to come in and pay the lien off, or pay the amount that you're going to lien the property off. And then the city at that time can actually file a lien, which in priority on the county tax assessors or tax assessment office would come after first mortgage, second mortgage, and whatever other items have been filed against that property. But it is a lien nonetheless, and so we would be able to collect at the time that somebody sells the property. Quite often that property goes into foreclosure, and so that we would be one of the liens that would have to be paid, you know, in priority with the other liens that are out there. We may not get anything, but at least we've got a lien against the property that would be triggered at that point. And so that's what this ordinance 2604 does. It just kind of outlines that process and provides Teresa with kind of an outline of what she needs to go through and do in order to collect. Like I say, I don't think it comes up very many times, and it's probably the last resort that the city would use, but because we still have all of the other remedies, we could actually, you know, go to court. We could shut off the utility. That usually gets their attention. You've got all those things that you would go through before you actually go through this. But once you go through this, then that would establish a permanent lien on the property until it's paid. So any questions that you might have on the process or on?
So Gary, a notice of lien is filed, and, you know, I can appreciate the fact that it, you know, that it's a lien and would be respected if the property were foreclosed, but suppose it otherwise weren't. In practice, would the city isn't going to foreclose on a property for an unpaid utility bill?
Yeah,
We're not going to go through a foreclosure process.
yeah, that's correct. A small lien against the property
Right.
is not likely to go in and try and foreclose on the first mortgage and the second mortgage and the other things. So
Right.
really, the usefulness of the lien is just notice to future property owners that come in and maybe succeed the interest in purchasing the property, that there's a lien on the property that has to be cleared before the closing takes place. But as a practical matter, the city will never foreclose on a,
Right.
you know, $1,000, $2,000
Right.
utility bill.
$125 or something.
Right, yeah, so.
What's the cost to file a lien?
If it's filed by the city, they shouldn't be charging the city anything. The county shouldn't be charging the city anything,
Because it's a recording.
because it's
a,
it's a.
Teresa, what does a trustee cost to record?
it's like, it should be.
Well, yeah, Lorette would know.
It's like $90.
Yeah,
but
so-
just the county recorder would record it,
Right.
usually.
Usually they don't charge the city anything for our recorded documents, as long as it's ours.
Mhm.
If it's on behalf of a developer, they charge us.
But can I just clarify, you said that this lien would become due in a foreclosure, but it's anytime a home would be sold. It's
Yes.
not just in a foreclosure. It would be if the home is sold, then
Yeah,
there would be
have to
that
be
lien that's have to
respected,
be.
yes.
And that's probably the more likely scenario is that
Yeah.
it would be resold. So,
Yeah, unless they pay it
right,
and then that lien is removed.
then it would be removed.
All of our other remedies would still be available to the city, i.e. turning off the utilities. So there's still probably more chance of collecting through that than there would be on a foreclosure.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you get your water turned off or your power turned off.
Sure, you want to need it back on,
Comes
so
to
you're
your
gonna,
attention, yeah.
chances are you'll pay for it.
Any more discussion?
So this is just another arrow in the quiver.
True.
Steve, I would move that we approve ordinance 2604. An ordinance amending Title 8 of the Morgan City Code to provide for the collection of delinquent utility charges and to authorize the recording of political subdivision liens for unpaid utility service fees.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, we have a motion to approve ordinance 2604 and a second. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Janet, that's unanimous. Okay, let's move to item C. An ordinance amending Title 12 of the floodway provisions of the Morgan City Code to provide for the development of a fishery park project, ordinance 2605. Ty?
So this is when we applied for the grant for the fish pond park. We were looking at future permitting that's gonna be needed. We realized that our own ordinance doesn't allow for the development of any property in the floodway. And so this ordinance just changes, or this ordinance change just includes park or trail improvements. And then as deemed appropriate instead of necessary by the city. So that's just a couple wording changes, but in this situation, a fish pond park would probably actually help during flooding,
Yeah.
more so than create a hazard. And so just ahead of that project, whenever we do that project, this is just to prepare for that. Update the ordinance, and that's.
We've always had provisions though to build in a floodway. Is that, I mean, a homeowner could build a home as long as they're a foot off the ground, et cetera.
In the floodplain, but not in the floodway. So if it's in a, if there's in a floodway, you can't elevate or anything, but the floodplain, like the 100-year floodplain,
Does
you
this
can
allow in the
elevate.
floodway then?
Hmm?
Does this allow a floodway?
No, this is in the floodway. So the FEMA map, like right along the river where it's a really low spot, we wouldn't allow someone to build in the bottom of that.
But the ordinance will allow that now.
Just for park improvement.
Boy, it mentions a lot of homes, commercial and manufactured homes though in the ordinance. There's a lot of reference to that.
Yeah, so just on E1, on section 1, E1. So the whole ordinance stays the same. So
Maybe point out just what the change of the ordinance is then.
yeah, so it's underlined and
Mine didn't.
in E1. So under E1 is floodways located within areas of special flood hazards established.
I didn't see anything underlined.
Okay, oops, encroachments are prohibited, that one?
Yeah.
See, the,
Under floodways.
oh, that's, okay, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's the
Alright.
only part that's changing. and
Okay.
it's Under the floodway
Gotcha.
area, so it's a specific part of the floodway, not all of the floodplains and all of the.
Dave, we'll forgive you. You've been in the hospital and away for a day or two.
It's all the
Usually your
good
eagle
parts.
eye never misses that.
But
Yeah. What can I say?
it's not a huge change, but
Didn't see the underline.
we wouldn't normally in a floodway allow development.
Okay. We're good guys and will now.
Or a park,
Well, a floodway will be good for fish.
if appropriate,
Unless
so
flood-
they'll get to decide.
So hail washes them down the river. Mayor,
Okay.
I will definitely make a motion to adopt resolution 2605, an ordinance amending Title 12 of the floodway provisions of the Morgan City Code to provide for the development of a fishery park project.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Janet, that's unanimous. Okay, let's go to item D, a resolution adopting and approving the compensation schedule for the employees of Morgan City Corporation. Resolution 2615. Once again, this is one we had a lot of discussion on.
Maybe we could have Ty give a recap of what we talked about.
Ty?
Okay, so this is what's referred to as a market study. So instead of doing a cost of living adjustment to keep up with inflation, we did a market study to reassess the pay scale. So the minimum and maximum for each position classification. Last time we did one was in 2023, and we have had cost of living adjustments along the way, but some of the cost of living adjustments weren't keeping up in certain pay classifications. And so this is the results of the study that we conducted, and good news, bad news. There were some positions that needed adjustment, but good news is we've kept up, and the goal is to be within 10% of the market average. And so this proposal would bring all of the pay scales within 10% of the market average. And then if adopted, it'll be included in the new budget. And I've looked ahead and don't see any impact to increasing revenues to cover the adjustments that are made in the pay schedule. Usually, in a typical year, I over budget by 10% in salaries and benefits every year, and just to be conservative. And so we have room within that 10% to cover the increase.
Any more discussion? Okay, if not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd move to approve resolution 26-15. A resolution adopting and approving the compensation schedule for the employees of Morgan City Corporation.
Have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Janet, that's unanimous. Let's move to item E. A resolution authorizing the city to enter into a delay agreement with Lucerne Management Company LLC for The delayed installation of the listed improvements along the frontage of property facing 700 east at approximately 584 north. Reflecting the dedication of the property for the placement of said improvements and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreements, resolution 2616. Okay, do we have any discussion or comment or
Bring that up on the map.
are you getting it?
Well, I mean, mine won't show up there, but
Yeah.
Janet.
Can we pick
can
that
you
location
bring
up?
Google Maps.
Or Hunt on X.
Or what? Planet X? I don't know.
Hunt X.
Hunt on X.
Whatever these guys.
That's real descriptive.
Just the top one.
584 north, 700 east.
Just click maybe later.
Yeah, Morgan. There you go.
Just click on that top one there. Okay.
Go north or, yeah, north a little bit more. One more where the telephone pole is. Now, if you can face it. Right by the retention pond. Probably just a little bit more the other way, so you can see Ray Dale's old house barely. So to the other way. That'll work. Hi, you have any comment?
Sure. So this is a delay agreement that happens every once in a while, not to the benefit of the developer, but this whole street hasn't been engineered, this section of street, because of the elevation changes and then the road width. We're unsure of where to require the improvements. And so instead of installing and then ripping it out and replacing it, the city proposes to enter into a delay agreement, which means at the point that the city decides that we want them, the improvements, that they would do curb, gutter, and sidewalk at that point.
When the rest of the.
Or whenever we.
Or whenever.
Yeah, whenever, yeah,
necessary.
like if we engineer the road or do a road project, or it doesn't necessarily mean that the whole street's gonna get sidewalk at that point. But putting in the curb and gutter presents also a little bit of a storm drain challenge because there's no storm drain system right there. So until we have more of an overall plan, we'd just like to delay the improvements. And the reality is it'll probably cost the developer more at the time we decide to require the improvements, but.
Talk though, Ty, about bond or escrow, a surety. What do we do there? I mean, 5 years from now, the developer may not be around.
Yeah.
May not have the ability to pay for it.
So that's probably a Gary question.
Gary will help us.
So we could require a bond or but right now we really don't know the actual cost. And so at some point in the future, we have called these in before where we've gone and we've had them participate in curb gutter sidewalk as it goes past their property. And they're obligated to pay it. And it's a lien, it acts as a lien against their property. So it's kind of what we call a lien waiver.
But
And
the
so-
developer won't be owning the property at that point.
Subsequent property owner, it travels with the land, so.
Right,
Attaches to the.
but
property.
wouldn't it fall to the developer to pay for that?
No. The subsequent owner. So we've had homes like in Layton, we redid Gentile. And we've gone along and collected from all the homeowners. It's on the title, it's on their title. It is a decision the
They
city
know that
needs to
going
make.
into it.
Yeah, it's a decision the city makes. And in the document, they actually waive any objection to if the city did a special improvement district and decide to build, because that's a long stretch of roadway. I don't know what we're gonna end up in doing. But they also waive any objection to that if we were to want to bond for it and do it. They would not be able to object to that. But it's, yeah, it is a lien against the property for future property owners. But there's not a lot you can do right now because we don't know where or what the improvements would be.
Could an engineer suggest an estimate that could be bonded for?
Sure, but that amount would be in today's dollars. When we actually build it, it's probably gonna be more expensive. And so,
So what could,
Sorry.
we'll go ahead, Laura.
So the dollar amount is a future dollar amount that is unknown.
yes,
It's at the time that this is
yeah,
called for or implemented.
yeah, the city can determine what amount is fair for the property owner to pay. But the bottom line is that they can't put in the improvements right now because we don't know what they are.
So-
And so,
So Gary, item number 6 of the agreement says at the city's discretion, in lieu of putting in improvements, the city may allow owner to post a bond to cover the cost of improvements. When would the city ask for that bond then? It would seem like most situations similar to this, we wouldn't know what the prices are, but yet we're suggesting that the city may ask for the bond.
we could ask for a bond. We could ask for it today if we wanted to. We could ask for it when we actually design the roadway. It's just another option that the city has. So the city's timing on when we require that bond could be any time between now and the time that the improvements are built. And that it may be to the city's advantage to ask for a bond at some point when they begin to design the sidewalk. Maybe there may be issues with who owns the property or, that there's a lot of different things that it's just one more tool that you have in this document that cities use, is they could require a bond today, tomorrow, or in the future, and that would then freeze the price in time. So what they would give you is enough money at that
Right.
time. So if a property owner, for example, if I were to purchase that property and want to put a home there, I may come into the city and I may say, I'm gonna build this home, I don't want the lien on there anymore. I would like to freeze in time the cost of those improvements. If the city's able to provide that estimate at that time for the property owner, then they could put up a bond in that amount. So that's another option that we
It
have.
just makes sense to have maybe some of that nailed down, even though it wouldn't be a complete amount up front rather than
So what,
3 years, 5 years down the road.
what,
Require them to pay today if you wanted to do
Yeah.
that, but we don't quite know what it is, so.
so how long could you, how long could you hang on to that bond money?
It's perpetual.
Goes
Yeah, I've had-
forever?
I've had
Could you
bonds that
put it
are
in?
20 years out.
You could put it in an investment of some sort or an account and make interest on it and,
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to do that, but it'd
yeah.
be tough right now to even tell the property owner what that would be. Almost impossible, I think.
And Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, this needs to be done now because it's holding up construction. There can't be a full approval and moving forward of the project
Correct.
without this in place. So,
Either payment, a bond, or this improvement agreement are the three options that the city has right now. But we're not able to establish how much that is yet, so that's the reason we have to kick it down the road. In reality, the city, when it builds something like this, is probably gonna pay the majority of the costs. I have collected a minimum amount on most of these bonds when we've gone through and collected them. A reasonable amount set by the city council. But what this does is gives the city that option. And today we couldn't put a price on it. If you wanted to try, I guess we could try, but
Who would make that decision? Is that? when we
City
take it-
council.
the city? So if this were approved today without a surety, without a bond, a cash amount, then we would have to come back and say, we've decided to ask for that.
we know what that amount is now.
Yeah.
And we can ask for that. And the city council would say, go out and, we already, my position has always been, with cities, as we approve the plats, and I think planners and engineers agree that we ought to get the property up front. And so in this transaction, we are getting property up front in which we could place a curb, gutter, sidewalk. And so really all it comes down to is just the improvements. That's the only thing they would pay for in the future because they've already dedicated the property. It's a lot tougher. Some cities actually don't require the property yet either. And that's a lot tougher situation because, you know, people have planted their lawns all the way out to the edge of the road. And so in these situations, we require on the plat or on the plans that the property be dedicated already. So it's really just the improvements that we're talking about. We really need to give you some examples. This has a real slope problem. And so the city's probably gonna have to solve that slope problem all the way along there by retaining or doing whatever they did if they really put a sidewalk in there at some point in the future. And chances are the city would probably pay for that, and then the person would contribute some dollars to the curb gutters and at some point in the future, but the actual excavation may end up being done by the city. But that's the option that you have under this agreement. Or we could try and come up with an amount right now, which probably wouldn't be realistic. And
Timing, maybe Jake or Ty, when would we expect to know more about the improvements?
Well, engineering and with planning support is looking at the corridor. So not just this property, but the corridor. And so it has taken a little bit of a time. So it's not, I don't know. It could be a while.
Yeah, it could be.
Kind of like, I mean, there's properties on Island Road that we've said the same. Eventually you will need to put sidewalk in, but it doesn't make sense to have sidewalk in front of your house when there's vacant land on both sides of it.
A bridge to nowhere.
Well, I do.
We
So-
require it though when we
Did you-
do know where it belongs.
Did you say it's on the title?
it's on the title, recorded against the title.
Eventually go buy that piece of property. It's there on the title that there's a delay agreement on that. So
Mhm.
buyer beware. Okay.
Or if they want to, they could come in and ask for the bond, and if the city has a reasonable, by that time, you know, has an estimate of what it might cost, then they can maybe post a bond then.
If they put a bond for a certain amount of money, can the city, do we have the right to go back and ask for more money if it's not enough?
Once it's posted, that's it.
Place and time.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so I think the question comes down to, do you collect some money now or take a chance you can't collect down the road, or it's harder to collect because 10 years down the road, I don't know anything about it, or I don't remember that, or it's more expensive.
And cities don't generally have a mechanism for taking money on a piece of property for some curb gutter sidewalk and keeping track of it over I think it almost costs us more to do that than it does to actually just wait or not pay for it, so. Or not having to pay for it.
We've seen this before and we sort of discouraged it.
Mhm. Yeah, wherever possible. I remember our business park over here, we had a piece of property where It went past the storage sheds where we actually, wherever we know what the elevation is, what the width of the street is, there's no way that we would do anything like this. But where you can see that there's a large piece of street that is gonna have to be designed, that's probably, I don't know how far that is, but it looks like it may be a quarter mile almost to the
All the way down.
place where you connect up.
Well, it starts on 700 east on that side and it goes clear to the county line.
There you go, yeah.
That's,
So that's a major project in the future, and
Mhm.
this is,
Hard to know what that's,
yeah,
what that little component of that project is right now.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
so this maybe my thoughts are off, but if and when that ever happens, it could be the end of the world. I don't know.
Then it won't happen.
Yeah.
Is that a
But
prediction?
he's not permitted to build. Can't he dedicate the property to the city? And call, I mean, I can't see, I'm twirling about a bond.
Well, okay, so the reason for this is to try and satisfy the ordinance. And there is not a provision in the ordinance that allows you to just dedicate the land and not put the improvements in because the design is not ready yet. Otherwise, you'd have all kinds of problems in the future in getting sidewalks built, that aren't ready to be built right now. So this is really what I call a temporary fix to get us in compliance with the ordinance, without changing the ordinance, in ways that would not accommodate what the city needs in the future. So cities around the state use this as a mechanism for being able to satisfy the ordinance, which says you have to give up the property and you have to put in sidewalk and you have to put in curb and gutter. And there is no exception to that. And that's the way it really must be, or should be, or ideally should be. And so the only way to get around that is to do an agreement that we realize that you're not ready to put in the sidewalk yet, but we'll give you the property, as much property as you need. And when the time comes for the sidewalk, the city can decide how you participate in the construction of that sidewalk in front of your home.
Okay, so Google Map is off a little bit. Right above this lot, there's now 22 rentals. And next to that, there's gonna be 10 more. There's a street running down that. I can't remember this coming up in that conversation for that property.
I think they're putting it in.
Yeah, that property was all brand new construction and it was designed and the placement was part of that development. So wherever we know how that street's gonna be designed, then we require the improvements to be put in.
If we know it and can define it and can give you an estimate, we asked Matt about this and there's just no way that we could do that right now. Just no
We
way.
know on Island Road, there are certain sections that do have it because they're bigger developments that are going in, but on some where there's no other type of sidewalk development, this has been put in.
The agreement.
So like Island Road's a good example. There's segments that have head gates and ditches and our road width isn't like,
They're in the way.
yeah, we have to shift the whole road in order to fit a sidewalk in. So that's unique, but
But then farther
That's
down,
outgrowing what our forefathers visioned, huh?
but there are lots,
to keep that gate.
there are lots where they give up the property,
Yeah.
they give up the property one way or another. Right, the frontage, so we get the road width that we need in order to fit our road standards, but there's other places that have sidewalks to nowhere because we know where it belongs and we require it. And this is just saying, we still require it. You're still, required to do the improvements, but we're not ready. So.
Gary, if the landowner could not pay for the improvements, the city deemed that they needed to be in and paid for them, we'd have remedies similar to what we just talked about in liens and foreclosure and so forth.
Yes, and we have had situations like that. And I can tell you that the cities I've worked with, we've worked with the property owners. We've allowed them to make payments and
Sure.
that type
Yeah.
of thing, because it's usually done as one large project.
Right.
And so we've worked with property owners.
Okay. Got one other question for you, Gary, on the agreement, the item number 1 there. Says that owner has divided, developed, or otherwise has altered or improved the subject property in such a way that laws and ordinances of Morgan City require the installation of the named improvements by owner. Aren't the improvements named by the city?
So when the property or the subdivision is actually approved, that's what we're talking about, the time and place in that first paragraph, is that the owner has divided, developed, or otherwise altered or improved the subject property in such a way that the laws and ordinances of Morgan City require the installation of the named improvements by whoever the owner was when they
I see.
developed the property.
So that, yeah, they've looked at the city requirements
And they've
and
met
then
them.
they're proposing this is what we do to meet the city requirements.
Yes, very good.
Okay.
That's exactly.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
exactly what
Well,
it
that works. Thank you.
Those are good questions. This is,
Yeah.
it's interesting because a lot of cities, you go over, move over this and you don't look at all the things that we've just talked about. And so I appreciate that very much.
That's all I had, Steve. Thank you.
Is mine an older copy? We've got, counting down through there, 2 number 6s.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
have number 6s.
5, 6, 6, 7.
The draftsman blew it. I'm sorry. That's,
There
I
are
didn't
2
see that.
6s.
So we'll amend that.
7 and 8.
Should be 7 and 8, yes.
You just pick a 6.
Yeah.
Just either one, yeah, pick one of them.
6 was so important.
A 6 that comes after 5.
That's the 6, 7 thing.
As long as there's not 3 6s, we're okay, right?
Any more discussion or?
Mayor, I will move to approve resolution 26-16, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a delay agreement with Lucerne Management Company LLC for the delayed installation of the listed improvements along the frontage of the property facing 700 East located at approximately 584 North, Morgan, Utah, reflecting the dedication of the property for the placement of the said improvements and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I just have one more little bit of
More
discussion.
a little bit.
I don't know what the mayor's gonna execute
Oh, let's see.
himself.
Hang on just a second.
The agreement.
The agreement.
Yeah, what agreement?
It's
There,
The delay agreement would be,
I think you signed the delay.
Sign it right there.
Sort of undefined though.
let's see here. Hang on just a second.
I mean, that's what you're looking at right there, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you've got it.
Yeah.
Let me look at the packet.
You will sign that.
Because we approve it,
Is that what you're wondering? What, off of the resolution, what you're approving?
Yeah, this delay agreement,
You got nervous about the word execute.
Oh, I would be too.
well,
Here, let me just look at the bottom of the resolution. So, let's see.
it sounds,
Whereas hereby
what I'm
also-
saying is it sounds to me like we either need to have in the motion what we're going to do. As far as if we're gonna say, okay, curb gutter and sidewalk now. Or if we're gonna give the property up.
Okay, so the resolution, all you do right now is you're approving resolution number
26,
16. which allows the mayor or provides, well, approves, the council approves this agreement that you see attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you agree that you approve the agreement exactly the way that it is. As far as future decisions as to how much will be contributed or whether you'll allow a bond or whatever else, that's not being made in the agreement right now. That is being kicked down the road because this is a delay agreement. That's the reason it's called a delay agreement. All you're doing by resolution as the mayor is you're executing what the council approves tonight, which is the resolution approving this agreement. And so the resolution, the council makes a decision on the resolution, whether they should approve it or deny it or amend it. You can also amend parts of the agreement if you wish to. But once the council comes to a conclusion as to that we're going to approve this agreement, that's the agreement that you're approving and that you will execute or you will sign on behalf of the council. So you're really just,
That's at a future date.
no,
That's this.
that's this right now, today. We're going to record this against the property tomorrow, essentially, or
After they fix the six.
signed it.
So, quick question. So back to 6, at the city's discretion. So if the city at some point decided, to require a bond, does that come before the council or is that?
It would, because you have to budget for this. You have to be the ones that essentially.
So the mayor would bring that before the council for a vote to do.
Yeah. To approve the project.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a very general agreement. There's no, if you're looking for something definite in this agreement, you're not going to find it. Because they call a delay agreement for a reason. You're delaying the operation of an ordinance that requires a sidewalk and a curb and gutter to be put in there. That's what you're doing. You're allowing this person to come in and build there without having complied with the ordinance. But if this agreement is in place and says they will do it in the future, they've allowed that. The courts have allowed you to be able to say in the future, the city can determine what they will pay for those improvements in the future. So it's kind of, I get it's a little bit confusing. It's not as specific as a lot of agreements where you agree that this is the price that's going to be paid. It's going to be paid today and we're going to move forward. This is not that kind of agreement. This is more like the lien that you just approved on utility payments. It's an obligation that a person is going to meet in the future when they sell the property or when the city makes a demand for those improvements. So I get the mystery of it a little bit, but
Back in my gray matter, it seems like we haven't approved some of these
you have.
years past.
The delay agreements?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, we've got.
Yeah, the last one we did was on 400 East.
Yeah,
You don't favor them,
So,
Okay.
but this person couldn't build without it, so. Because we can't give him a number, we can't give builder a number. And they are ready to build on their property right now. So I don't know what the alternative would be. I guess deny his building permit application because the city can't make a determination of where the sidewalk goes, but that's not appropriate either. We can't do that. Not allowed to do that by state law, so.
All right, that's part of the fun of this position. So we've had a motion, we've had a second. I made a comment, it has no bearing on the motion or the second, so all in favor?
It was really good.
Well, I have a comment too.
Okay.
You cannot have a delay agreement without consent of the council, right? They have to approve it.
Right.
Yeah.
You are deciding.
Yeah.
On whether or not to approve this agreement.
Well, I wish it was their signature on it.
Yeah, the big bucks.
Yeah, that's the big bucks, huh? Okay,
Comes in.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Janet, that's unanimous. Let's move down to item 6. And you young folks, is there a requirement that you have to stay here for this whole meeting?
Kensington, tell everybody where you're going on your mission. Tell everybody where you're going on your mission.
Cool.
Mark's daughter, Mark London.
Kate, sit down. You're not going anywhere. If I gotta be here, you've gotta be here. Get out of here.
Where you going, Kensington? East Las Vegas.
Okay. City Council, do we have any discussion? Or items or news to bring us?
Um,
I missed the big boy train.
I saw it.
you missed,
It
you
is.
missed a lot.
A lot of
You missed our biggest snowstorm of the year.
Biggest
biggest
we had, right?
all year long.
Well,
It was loud.
we had the Morgan Irish Band.
Yeah, I was really
Good,
impressed.
so was I.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know they were here, but they were great.
we're great. There's quite a pretty good crowd for the weather that was.
See the mayor on the news?
Yes, it's Channel
I
2.
don't have a TV ability in my home.
Did.
You have no
You've been
TV.
called a lot since that aired. Want to know if you,
If you're out for hire.
Oh, I was afraid it was gonna be like a post office photo.
it's coming back on the 20th, right?
The 20th. I'm not sure of the time yet,
9:30.
9:30.
Traffic jam all the way down to.
Oh, it was
There were a lot of people there.
of parking. I had to walk all the way from my house.
Is that?
Eighth of a mile.
Okay, Ty, will you bring us some updates?
So,
Email them to us.
yeah, I emailed them to you, just a couple, just easy ones. We got a thank you letter or a thank you note from the, oh shoot. Not the Rotary, what's the,
Chamber?
oh, Lions Club
Oh,
for supporting the Easter
Geez, that was a lot of kids.
Easter egg hunt. There's like 450, they said, or something like that, but we provided the gift baskets and stuff like that. So thanks for your support there. And then, yeah, I think everything else I covered in the email, and I'll send another one if something else comes up.
Thank you. That was very informative, your email.
by the way, I really like those. That's nice.
Yeah, I about forgot, because if we went a long time without meeting. Oh, and then just a reminder that we have the League of Cities and Towns. And I think everyone's registered and scheduled for that, so that'll be good to see you down there.
Next week.
Week.
They keep an eye on us at times, don't they?
They do. That's good.
Okay. Well, if we go to item 7. It's a closed session. We'll need to open that.
What are we doing? Okay, what are we doing? Mayor, I will make a motion that we go into an executive session for the strategy to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, or discuss a proposed development agreement, project proposal, or financing proposal related to development of land owned by the city. Do I need to restate that, or are we good?
That sounds good.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move into a closed session, so we have to say bye-bye.
Hang around and say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being here.
Thank you.
Well,
Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Here we go right into.
Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, sure. Good news is there won't be a line.
Yeah, I can choose my seat.
We have to stagger so they don't create a quorum.
You're walking pretty straight.
Yeah, she's doing good.
You're walking really straight. That's good.
So I want, remind me to tell you something after about a knee replacement. Right.
You know, knees take
You'll
longer. to
find this
repair than
interesting
hips,
too.
and She's doing better than I am.
She's a lot younger than you.
Yeah.
About my own discussion at the doctor about
Fair
knee
enough.
replacement.
Had my eyes dilated and they're still going.
You don't want to go.
They feel like they've adjusted some.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
Like you're on medication. that's
Yesterday.
the-
Trying
You're
anything else.
surprised you can read that way.
Shots.
When I
GL shot.
Walked out of the office and went outside,
Yeah.
like a floodlight.
Glasses.
But I didn't want to wear them here.
Like Hollywood.
I'd be a little bit. What happened? Oh. Oh, I'm gonna do it. That's good.
Yeah.
Anybody want to cook it?
Maybe I'll go grab one.
Trees you have out. So,
Oh.
are they live trees?
Yeah. Those are, the bushes. Well, one's a palm, one's a tree. It's a palm
Okay.
tree. It's called a windmill palm, and we brought that home from, one of the conferences, probably 6, 7 years ago, and have to bring it inside to, so it doesn't.
Take Linda
freeze.
one, how's that?
You bought that down in St. George, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, I did, and, no, it's,
So where are they during the winter?
I put them in the garage. I, because of that, I have to have a car outside, and I've got a son-in-law. I couldn't answer his question. He said, there's the plant across the earth that's more valuable than my car. I'm bringing
Your
the plant in
secret
the
safe
garage
with
and the car's outside. That didn't make sense. I didn't have a good answer for it. But the other ones, the other two are oleanders. That's what you see down in California. They line the freeway. It's a plant that originally came, originally from the Nile. Then they kind of go dormant and grow when the water comes. But palm tree's been fun. It's probably 6 feet tall and it started out about that big. Jeffrey members.
Cool.
Brought him.
So you got that in your garage too, Dave? the
Yeah,
palm tree?
I put it in the garage in the winter.
Do you?
It's better in the car.
Have you taken it,
Barry's car.
What?
have you
That's
taken
what
it
it's
back
up
in
to,
because
6
we're
footer.
freezing again?
Yeah, I got him on a little
Dolly.
dolly, so
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'll pull it in when I come home tonight.
Okay.
Cause it's gonna get cold tonight,
Yeah.
but.
Palm tree.
Yes,
Sounds like you bought it down a little. Were you at Leagues of Cities when you bought it, or?
yeah, it was down there at, it's the,
That's been-
that Walmart or Home Depot, whatever. It's been fun.
Cool.
It would grow a foot a year if it wasn't root bound. I mean.
If you didn't have it contained in the
yeah,
bucket.
So I found a bigger plot for it. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it in.
Cindy wants me to take her to Hawaii, so I'm just gonna run over to your neighborhood now. Can you put a lounge chair underneath it?
Okay, are we back? Everybody's here?
Yeah.
Okay, Ty.
I took a bite of a cookie.
Oh, sorry.
No. So, there's 2 properties to talk about. One of them is we finally got the appraisal from the property by Geneva that we're trying to buy from UDOT. It came back at 515,000.
How many acres is that?
I was just trying to pull that up.
That's the old off ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's larger than the last one that we bought, so it's,
That's useless, probably.
Not that the presence.
Like that ditch?
yeah, where they're piping the ditch.
On the one side.
Well, it's piped
On
on
the-
the other side of the road.
I'm piped. Behind me.
This isn't the appraisal that I brought, this is the title report.
I put it-
Um, If it's-
How big is that piece, Ty, that,
Let me,
oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Well, you know what?